skaters, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. I am Coach Julia, and today I am going to be explaining to you the difference between three turns, brackets, counters, and rockers. There's 4 different turns that are very similar and can be very confusing to understand the difference as you're being taught them by your coach. So today we're going to go over the differences between those different turns. To start with, we're going to go over the difference between a 3-turn and a bracket. Both of these stay on the same circle while you're turning. So here on the ice, I've drawn 2 different patterns. One is a 3-turn, one is a bracket. So 3-turn, the point of the turn goes in towards the circle. The bracket, the point of the turn goes away from the circle. That is the primary difference. One looks like a 3 if you were to draw it, and one looks like a bracket if you were to draw it just in writing, okay? So the difference between the 3-turn and the bracket primarily is the way your foot makes a point as it turns. So for a 3-turn, I'm going to do a forward one. I'm going to face my body inside, and then the point of my turn goes inside the circle, okay? So if you do a bracket, I'm now going to face outside, and the point of my turn is going to go away from the circle. So it doesn't matter whether you're going forwards or backwards, that same principle applies. So if I do a backward 3-turn, my heel is going to drop down into the circle, which means the point goes in. And if I was to do a backward bracket, the opposite happens. So my foot is going to point away from the circle and make that bracket shape. So it doesn't matter whether it's forward or backward. A 3-turn, the point always goes in, and a bracket, the point always goes out. From this angle, you can see that the point of my 3-turn dips down into the circle. This is going to happen whether it's a forward, inside, outside, backward, inside, backward, outside. The 3-turn always points down into the circle. So you can see on the tracing that little point going into the circle. Now let's look at that bracket. From this angle, you can see that the point of my toe goes away from the circle that I'm starting on. Any kind of bracket you do, whether it's forwards, backwards, inside, or outside, the point is always going to go away from the circle you're on. So if you're forward, it's going to be your toe pointing out. If you're backward, it's going to be your heel pointing out. But your tracing will always point away from the circle that you're starting on. So that's the difference between a 3-turn and a bracket. Keep in mind, they switch edges, but they stay on the same circle. So you're starting on an inside, ending on an outside, or starting on an outside, ending on an inside, but it's always on the same circle, okay? So now let's move on to counters and rockers. Counters and rockers are related to each other in the same way that 3-turns and brackets are related to each other. For these, you're going to stay on the same edge before and after the turn, but you're switching circles. So I have drawn that pattern on these 2 circles now, and I'm going to switch circles during the turn. So I'm going to be starting with a counter. All right, so for this one, we're setting up just like our bracket. So the bracket faces away, and you're pointing away from where you're starting. So if you remember that bracket, the circle pointed away, the little point went away from the circle. Your counter, your point is going to go away from the circle that you're on, okay? So the circle you're starting on, your point goes away from it, and that makes it a counter turn. Again, doesn't matter whether it's forwards or backwards, your point goes away from the circle that you are starting on. Okay, so that is a counter. So for a rocker is like a 3-turn. Your point goes towards the circle you're starting on. Okay, so I'm referring to the red circle as the circle I'm starting on. So now I'm going to face in, and I'm making my point go towards that red circle. The red circle is where I am beginning. Okay, so the rocker points in towards that red circle. Okay, so let me do that again. So we have goes in, and now we have a switch circles because it's a rocker. So you want to think about 3-turns and rockers being similar because both of them, your point goes in towards the circle you're starting on. And then you have brackets and counters that are this similar because your point is going away from the circle that you are starting on. Now let's analyze this counter. Again, Here you can see that the point is going away from the circle, just the way a bracket does. So any counter you do, whether it's forward inside, outside, backward outside, the point is always going to go away from the circle that you're starting your pattern on. Here, as we look at this rocker, you can see that my point is going in towards the circle. This is the same as it would be for your 3-turn. So any counter you do, whether it's forward or backward, the point is going to go in. So a forward one, your toe is going to drop in and create that point. A backward one, your heel is going to drop in and create that point. All right, skaters, I hope that explanation of those 4 different turns was helpful. I know it can be very confusing as your coach is telling you all these different turns that you're supposed to be learning. So I hope that that clarifies it for you when you go out to practice. If you enjoyed this video, please do give us that thumbs up. And as always, I look forward to reading all your comments in that section down below. If you haven't done so yet, then hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell down in the corner so you can see all my videos when they come out. Happy skating, and I'll see you next time.